Hello and welcome. In this video I'm gonna talk about what kind of build to pick at a league start, how to start a new league, what to do, how to farm currency. By currency I'm talking about at least 100x every league, maybe more, how I get headhunter, how I accomplish at least 36 challenges every league, and all that kind of stuff that you want to do and maybe you are not sure yet, maybe you are a new player. So if you played the game at least, let's say, one league, you can do all of these stuff that I'm gonna talk about in this video. All these things that I'm gonna mention in this video are all newbie friendly. So I'm gonna try to, cover up everything I can, but feel free to leave a comment down below, of course. And I believe most important thing is that you can do all of this stuff by yourself. You don't need to play in a party. You don't need to abuse that quantity, all of those kind of stuff. So you can achieve all of these, farming currency, starting your maps, all of those kind of stuff that I'm gonna talk about by yourself easily once you know what you are doing. Before going further in the video, I just want to mention something real quick. So I have been uploading videos on YouTube for over a year now, and I'm still trying to achieve 1000 subscribers. So please subscribe if you want to support me and my channel, and let's get back into the video. So when the countdown begins for the next league, you have probably 2 or 3 weeks, and of course GGG shares some information about the league, so you don't know for sure what to do until the last week or so. But what I usually do is always prepare my loot filters. By loot filters I mean, of course, more than one. One is for leveling and early progress, which shows almost everything, including rare items, flasks, gems, all those kind of stuff. And then I transition into a striker filter, which hides most of the bad rares. And finally I will also have a third filter, which is like an uber version, uber strict, which will hide almost all rares. Maybe I will leave some good base types like spike gloves, gripped gloves, maybe bone helmets, steel ring, opal ring, those kind of stuff. And I will mostly focus on collecting maps, currency, other kind of fragments, cards, those kind of stuff. You don't want to waste time looting rare items and identifying them, and so goes on like that. And the second one is, of course, you need to pick your build. But as I said earlier, until the last week, maybe the balance before the balance manifesto, you cannot know for sure which build to play. But if you know that your build maybe recently got nerfed on a previous league, or maybe you are sure that that build won't get nerfed because it is a non-meta build, so that's very important, then you can prepare your build. So I'm gonna share some builds which I doubt that they will get nerfed soon before PoE 2, and because they are all non-meta builds in my opinion. But of course you can pick your own build, there are lots of builds in this game. So I will also gonna leave path of building links, and let's go and start. Fire and Flamethrower traps. So this is a build that I made almost 2 years ago when they first made those trap changes in Incursion League, I believe. So I have a forum post, I will leave a link down below. So thousands of people played this over the past 2 years. It is not a meta build, so some of the items are very cheap. So it is a very big advantage of playing a non-meta build. It's a very solid league starter and boss killer and all those kind of map farming and progress through your atlas, everything like that. So I highly recommend you to try it out if you haven't played a trap character in a long time. It's also very new player friendly, so if you are new to the game, you can just start playing it. Make sure you read the guide very carefully, and don't be shy, and you can ask me your questions in game. And this also, I made Scion version recently, and it has a little different item setup, and overall Scion is more tankier and more forgiving if you make some mistakes in especially boss fights. So but both versions are capable of doing everything, so you can check those out. Freezing Pulse Totem Hierophant. So this is also another very solid league starter and boss killer, but boss damage is kinda weaker compared to other builds that I'm showing in this video. Maybe that's because Freezing Pulse isn't the best choice, I don't know, but Freezing Pulse is in my opinion the best choice for mapping. As you can see, it clears the whole screen and also off screens a little. If you invest in projectile speed, then you will notice the difference. So I highly recommend getting that Helm enchant, which gives projectile speed. It is also a cold build, so you will shatter and freeze, chill, all kind of frost effects, let's say. So it is very safe for mapping. It has some expensive pieces, but you can work on those later. So you can obviously start with this build and it will get the job done. So I highly recommend you try it out if you are a Totem fan, or maybe you haven't played Freezing Pulse. You can also play as another skill if you want, but Freezing Pulse is probably my favorite, so I played with that. Orb of Storms Ball Lightning Assassin. First of all, I want to apologize for the quality because this is a build that my friend plays and I had to record the video from a Discord streaming. That's why the quality is a little low. So this is a very powerful build that is both capable of clearing maps very fast thanks to Orb of Storms and Chain, as you can see in the video, and also a very high single target damage with Ball Lightning. But obviously you need some key items to make the build work like this. But you can play this build as a league starter and progress your way slowly. But once you get all those items, and you will see the damage is gonna be insane, and you can do all kind of boss farming, map farming easily and very fast. So you finished leveling, you just started mapping, and what should you do? How do I approach? So let's talk about that. So first of all, of course, you don't have much choice. You start from tier 1s. You are probably around level 70 at that moment. So you start clearing those maps, trying to get that objective, bonus objectives. So what I do is I just do whatever map I can get. I always alchemy my maps. I don't use transmutations because the more quantity is better for loot. So I always spend my maybe first 20 chaos, maybe 10 chaos if I don't have much, to alchemy orbs. They are very cheap at league start. So they are probably like 1 chaos to maybe 5 alchemy, sometimes 6. I don't know, the price changes every league, but it is something like that. If you spend like 10 chaos, you get like maybe 50 alchemy orbs. So just try to stock some alchemies, you're gonna need them. And just do tier 1s, tier 2s, whatever you can get. Don't forget to check Officer Kirak for new maps, and when you found Zana, then Zana will start to, sell maps. And of course, don't forget to do those Zana missions if you get any. You probably want to do them at high tiers, so you get new maps with high tiers if you are lucky. So the first thing you are gonna want to do is, progress through your atlas, get that objective bonus. So the bottom objective bonus is awakening bonus. You don't want that at first. Obviously you cannot get those because these comes from high tier maps. Let's check this one.
complete this map at tier 14 with awakening level 3. Obviously you don't have awakening levels and those high tier maps first, so you just want to complete these normal maps first, low tier, and get those upper bonus objectives. Once you run out of maps, I don't waste any time and just go and buy new maps from other players. That's what I do always. So the first, let's say maybe 50 chaos, I'm trying to spend on the maps. Maybe not 50 chaos, but that's just an example. So I try to spend my money on maps and try to progress. If my character struggles by the time I get to yellow maps, I'm buying myself some upgrades with that money. So once I'm comfortable with yellow maps, I don't buy any upgrades. Then I spend my money again on the maps. So you want to complete maps as soon as possible if you want to start farming money fast enough. So let's say you want to upgrade your character first. Maybe you spend at least one exalt on your character. Now your character can do maps very easily, yellow maps let's say, but you are still at maybe 50 map completions, so you're still trying to get those other maps and you run out of money, and you basically just farm same maps again and again to get some currency back, so you're gonna waste a lot of time. So you want to be quick about that bonus objectives. You want to complete them as soon as possible so you can start endgame farming. So let's talk about the watchstones real quick. Of course, this is not gonna be a very detailed guide. I just want to mention. If they don't change it, of course, I don't think they will, but the first orbs, the watchstones, I mean, you wanna do the corner areas. So the Haywerk Hamlet, New Wester, Lyra Artane, and Lex Ejoris. So these are the 4 corners that you wanna progress through at first. That's how I found my conquerors in Metamorph League, and also my friends did the same thing. I believe that's how you do it. So you wanna progress through those corner sites, get those watchstones, spawn those conquerors, etc. Then once you have enough, then focus on the inner circle. You don't need 8 awakening levels to start, endgame farming. Just try to get as much as you can, and by the time you have at least 130, let's say, bonus complete, and at least 6 awakening levels, maybe 5 is fine, you can start endgame farming, and you will probably get the rest while doing that farm. So a couple of days passed, you progressed through your atlas, leveled your character to, let's say, at least 80, 85 levels. You are now geared enough to progress through higher tier maps, or maybe you wanted to do Labyrinth Farming and start farming that big currency. So first I'm going to talk about Labyrinth, then I'm going to talk about how I farm maps to get big currency. So if your character isn't geared enough to do high tier red maps, or maybe if you wanted to try Labyrinth and haven't done yet, so this is some solid currency farming method. So this is best done, let's say, at league start at the first couple of weeks, because most people don't do Labyrinth and most of the enchants won't be at the market. So I advise you to do Labyrinth at league start. If you think you are gonna farm currency with Labyrinth, make sure you pick a character suited for that. You don't need to push that character to level 90 or maybe invest like 5 exalt of gear. You just need to pick a solid character that doesn't die to physical damage that easily, also has some decent regeneration, so you can survive those traps and don't waste any time dying in the labyrinth. And also it is better to pick a character that is a little tanky,
because you are gonna make the Izero hard mode by doing some certain things. So he will start hitting harder compared to normal version. So that's why you need to pick a character. So let's talk about characters. You can obviously pick Juggernaut or any kind of melee, because Fortify and loss of mobility. I mostly do a melee character or sometimes a trapper. I enjoy playing trappers. So those are my advices. Also, you need to, as you see in the video, need to learn how to get dark shrines and also kill Argos, get those extra keys to increase your profit. And also you need to buy twice enchanted. That's a prophecy, so it lets you enchant 2 times. And if you are lucky and get the be twice blessed dark shrine, you can enchant 3 times. So that's very important. So once you finish the labyrinth, of course you're gonna get your keys and then open your chests. If you are lucky, you will get some decent stuff that worth some money. But sometimes you are just unlucky and don't get much. But overall, you are making profit, and also you are gonna try your luck at enchants. I always do helm enchants, but some people do boots, so that's up to you. And if you're lucky and get some decent enchants, you're gonna make huge profit. So before starting to talk about endgame map farming, I will just give some examples of what I sold in the previous league. Let's talk about those real quick. So of course I don't have any picture or anything, but these are all the things that I can remember right now. So I remember selling an Ice Nova 40% damage enchant for 5 exalted, and Arc Chains one time, I believe, for 12x. Molten Strike goes for 2 to 3x most of the time. Luckily I found 2 separate Scourge Arrow enchants. Sold one for 7x. The other one was at a worse base type, so it sold for 3 or 4 exalt, I believe. So the prices of course change depending on the league and the meta builds people are playing. So farming Labyrinth is of course very RNG based, but once you start doing those labyrinths fast enough, you will eventually hit some big money makers, and it is very fun to hit those helmet chants and sell them at absurd prices.
When you start farming those red tier maps, those high tier, I have a separate video explaining how I do those high tier maps, how I roll my maps, what kind of investment I do. Of course, those are all separate subjects, so check that out if you don't know how to do those, high maps. So I always do tier 15s. Those are the most efficient, I believe. And tier 16s are very cheap. I'm talking about Metamorph League, of course, 3.9. So I'm not sure if any of these are gonna change in Delirium League. But for now, tier 15s are the most efficient way, at least for me. And I talk to about maybe 10 different person, including my friends and people on the global chat, and they are all doing the same thing. So this is the best way of farming right now. So you just want your character to be able to farm tier 15s, let's not say efficiently, because maybe you just started the red maps, I mean farming, and your character isn't geared enough. Maybe you are still leveling those gems, your gear isn't enough, all those kind of stuff. And you of course use sextants to make the maps even harder, and also those awakening levels. So it is okay to die while mapping, maybe a couple of times in hard maps. It is totally fine. You just need to be able to clear those maps without failing them. Of course, if your character is very undergeared, let's say you die like every map, so of course that's not fine. You need to change something about your character. You probably don't have some, enough items maybe. So it is very important to pick a solid league starter. That's all depend on you. So there's nothing the other players there cannot do anything about that. So you need to be very certain about what build to pick. You should be able to do tier 15s without dying much, so you can start farming. Once you do like at least 100 maps, you are gonna make a very big profit, and you can easily gear the rest of your character. And once you get past that point, you will notice the difference and you will start farming very fast. Also, while mapping, and once I do maybe like 50 maps and make some profit, I always go and buy some empowers, enlightens, and level those at the back at my second weapon slot. So these are a little pricey, so that's why you need to save some money to buy these. So I always do like 10, maybe 15 quality on each with GCPs. So I usually do 15, I don't know, you can go for 20. So currently on your weapon slot you can farm level 6 gems. So even let's say one gem passed to level 4 and all the rest failed, you are gonna make huge profit. So if you are lucky and get like 2 separate level 4s, you are gonna be basically rich. So this is a very huge profit. And if you are not gonna level gems for maybe another build, this is what you want to do, obviously. And also don't forget to get that quality on those weapons. You can get those from whaling weapons from June. Also you can buy the weapons from other players, so you can also do that. So you need red and blues, so try to buy a weapon suited for those to make some easy coloring. So let's talk about how much profit you should expect from 100 maps. So I have been shooting these kind of videos a lot in every league. Make sure to check them out if you want, but I will post new ones in new league, of course. So you should just wait for those, because they will be new ones. So I always share this kind of spreadsheet that I made myself to share all kind of loot. So let's just talk about it real quick, because I don't want to make the video any longer. So this was in 3.9 Metamorph League, loot from Awakening level 8, 100 tier 15 maps. So as you can see, I am taking note of every kind of currency I get. So you can see the total numbers here. And splinters, the maps that I get, the catalysts, some expensive organs if you want to sell them, oils and other stuff, stat fragments, guardian maps, blah blah blah, never mind those. So you can see the total profit is here. So more than 5k chaos in 100 maps. This is actually way higher, because I don't count any of the delve encounters I'm doing, Temple of Azotl, maybe Betrayal, Safe House profits. They are not in here. So in those 100 maps, you are of course gonna do all of those kind of stuff, so you are making way more currency. And you can expect to find the price table here. I am updating those in every league.
So this is just to make the calculations. Same goes here. And this is how much currency you should spend approximately. So this is of course again 3.9. Prices can change. So I spent, let's see, 100 maps. Most of the tier 15s were like 5 to 6 chaos recently. So I spent approximately this amount of chaos to my maps. Some alchemy and scorings, chisel prices, sextants, wall orbs, all those kind of stuff. There was beyond, so 500 chaos for that. Some prophecies. So these are all I'm gonna mention in the other video, so make sure you check that out. Again, I'm telling you, if you are new, if you don't know how to do endgame maps, you should go and check that video. The link is also in the description, so don't miss that. So I spent around 1,600 chaos in 100 maps, and this is the profit if you do the math. And I don't use any quantity gear in any of my characters at all, so this is just profit for every kind of player. If you invest in some quantity, you will farm way more currency. And just take a look at this one real quick. So this one is a tier 16 farm, Summit, because Summit has an excellent layout for legions. This is also with legion, not beyond. So this is another example. Also Summit can be sustained with horizon orbing, that's why I tested that. But as I said earlier, so I'm gonna shoot new videos in Delirium League, of course, because the atlas may change, the maps may change, so the maps that we are gonna farm can of course change. So this is another example. So this time I earned 7k chaos in 100 maps, thanks to Legion. It was a little more profitable, I believe. So I made 36 exalt profit. So that's about it, I believe. Well, I tried to cover up everything I can. Obviously it is not possible to fit everything in a single video, so don't be shy and leave a comment down below. And also you should do some research on mostly Labyrinth Farming, because this is not a obviously Labyrinth guide video, so probably most of the missing information is in Labyrinth Farming. So hopefully maybe you learned a thing or two today. So if it helped you, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.